Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm with Holly Sutton today.
Hello.
Do you want to introduce yourself and let us know a bit more about what you do, and then we can go into how you got into doing it?
Yeah, that was fine. Hi everyone, I'm Holly. I run my own sort of digital marketing business where it's sort of split into two sections. The first half is more client-based, so I provide social media and content writer services to business owners, and then I also teach other bloggers how to sort of get a breakthrough with their own online presence through my own content. So it's like through my blog and my YouTube channel and that sort of thing. And I've been doing that for the past 7.5 months now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. Not that long, is it?
No, it's flown by though.
Yeah.
Like weirdly, it's flown.
Yeah. So obviously you're running your business full time now, but you've not always. How did you get into doing what you do, and how did you transition from the 9 to 5 to running your own business and working like with your freelance services full time?
Yeah. It's actually been quite a long journey for me. It's definitely not happened overnight. And something that I think will sort of indicate how my journey has gone is that I've always sort of felt like a step behind people. So especially when I was at uni, I felt like a lot of people knew what they wanted to do and they sort of like naturally fell into their career paths, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So I sort of spent a year going from job to job because I felt like, I don't know, I kind of felt like I had a bigger purpose, and that I wasn't meant to be doing this. So that was for the first year. I had about 4 or 5 different full-time jobs, and then I found one that I could really like sink my teeth into.
Yeah. And
it was a marketing coordinator job, and I basically managed the whole marketing strategy for a sixth form college. So I was doing things like email marketing, social media, SEO, but then I was also doing things like video editing and social media advertising. And alongside this, my blog had been slowly building up. So I started as a lifestyle blog, and it then transitioned to online marketing, teaching other bloggers. And then it was April 2017, a sort of string of events happened that led to my business becoming full-time. So in April 2017, I won my first blog award, and that was
cool.
It was like a really big recognition, because something that I've always struggled with is like confidence and belief in myself.
Yeah.
And I feel like even being like nominated for that was like an indication that okay, I'm doing something right. And then in the May I got my first client, and then I got my second client in the June, and then my third, and then by the time I was on to my fourth client, the way that the transition happened for me was like a now or never.
Yeah.
So I sort of had to sit down with like my fiance Tom and my mum and dad, and we basically realised that I couldn't go on at the capacity I was going on with like my full-time job and client work.
Yeah.
So it was a sort of, right, I'll hand my notice in, give it 6 months, see how it goes. But 7.5 months later, I've not looked back, so touch wood.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been 100% the right decision.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. I only asked that because I think it's easy to look at people who are running their business and feel like they just have it all together and they've always had it together.
Yeah.
And that's just not the case. Like you say, it's like rarely an overnight thing. And you obviously worked very hard on both, like you working full time and coming home I imagine you just came home in the evenings and just worked on your online stuff, which is obviously takes a lot. One thing I want to pick up on that you said was like feeling like you don't fit in when you're at uni and all your friends were just going on into their careers. And I think, do you think part of that is people feel like they just have to do that, and maybe a lot of people are just falling into a career path just because they've been to uni or just because their parents want them to do it or whatever? but in the head they're not. Like, if they could choose, they would choose something different, but they almost feel like, not trapped, but just like conditioned by society to just go down this path.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like, especially when I was at uni, I think there were a lot of sort of, especially like parents of friends that I knew were like, you just get a job. You get a job and you earn money because that is what you are supposed to do.
Yeah.
But it sounds weird if I say like I always wanted more, like not to be ungrateful, but I was quite lucky that my parents were always like, you can like go after what you want, you can do whatever you want, just know that it takes like a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
And so I think that mentality of like being determined has always stuck with me, and I've sort of used it to help influence other people as well, because like my fiance, for instance, Tom, he really didn't know what he wanted to do, but I think because I've been so determined, he's become more confident, and it's like, oh, I don't have to go and work a 9-to-5 job, I can actually do other things as well.
Yeah.
And I think it can be an eye-opener for some people, because if they don't know that that's possible, then they don't know what they can do, basically.
Yeah, that's so true. I feel like work now in our generation just looks so different to what it did, and a lot of people do find the happier if they work part-time and then they have freelance business on the side, or just juggling things just looks a lot different now, I think. And I think it's not that people before didn't want to do those things, it was just the norm, and I feel like it still is the norm, but it's changing. Would you say?
I think so, definitely. Because I mean, the other thing that I found quite difficult as well was like the office politics of just being in work, and you've got to have your lunch break at this time, and you've got to log absolutely every single thing that you're doing. So but it's sort of like, well, if I'm getting the job done, that should be enough. Yeah. But I guess it's how different people are, isn't it?
Yeah, it is tough. And this podcast isn't like about going freelance and just being a business owner, but I think it's a good story anyway, because I'm sure there are people listening who might be unhappy in their job, or they might have done what some of your friends did and just gone to uni and did a career that was complementary to their degree, and they might be like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I want to be doing something different. What has helped you with your like confidence and your mindset? Because I know you said you struggled a lot with your confidence in recognising how good your blog was and how good your work was. What has really helped you with that confidence, knowing not just knowing that you're good at something, but also knowing like what you want to do? I think a lot of people just don't know what they want to do or what they want to do with their life and with their career. So what tools and like tips would you give to someone who's going through where you were back then?
I found that I had to really hone in on what I enjoyed doing. And so quite a few times when I was at my old day job, I got quite a few opportunities to speak to the students and students at other schools, and I absolutely loved doing that. And it's quite funny because my dream job when I was a child was to be a teacher, and I feel like now I am teaching people in a way, so it's weird.
It comes full circle, doesn't it?
Like
my dream jobs have been like being a writer, being a journalist, which just ties in. So like when you're a blogger, it's just like the ideal, isn't it? Because you just get to create whatever you want. But also like I used to want to be a therapist, so doing coaching now, like it's slightly it's different. It's not therapy, but it's still
a similar sort of path though.
But everything comes full circle with stuff like
absolutely
that. Really cool. Anyway, sorry.
No, it's fine. And then something else that has helped me is having a support network. Because I used to be of the mentality that I can do everything by myself. I don't need any help. Like, it's my blog, no one else is going to understand it, and all this carry on. But especially in recent months as well, I've got to the point where I've realised that I can't do everything. So if people are listening to this now and feeling like they're stuck or they don't know what to do, I would always just say to ask for help. Like, even if it's just one person that you feel like you can go to and talk to, you might never know what could come of that.
Yeah.
So I'd always say, like, it's really good if it's a family member or a friend, or a work wife, just having someone that you can talk to about things. And then another thing I'd say is that I feel like when I first was trying to transition to being a business owner, I used to consume a lot of content. I used to read and research, and I'd spend hours and hours like going down a rabbit hole, but I wouldn't put any of it into action, and I'd think that I was being productive.
Yeah, totally.
But I wasn't. So I'd say that if you are wanting to make a change or a transition, like, the research and planning is good, but you have to make sure that you are putting things into action if you actually want to move forward. I think that's really important, because a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah, definitely. Even with a career change, or if it's changing industry, it's not necessarily just starting a business.
Yeah.
I think you can start getting experience with that, or meeting new people who are in that industry already, and start like actually dipping your toes into it.
Absolutely.
Once you feel like pulled towards that area,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just trying it out in like a safer way than just like quitting your job and
even if it's like
that
you find someone on Instagram or in a Facebook group and you meet up with them and you start talking about things. Like, you don't, like, my first 2 clients were friends that I'd made online.
Yeah.
They weren't strangers, so it 100%, a lot of it comes from like who you know and your contacts.
Yeah, definitely. We've talked a lot about that on the podcast in the past. On the businessy episodes, we've talked about the power of networking and the power of like just going for a coffee with someone.
Yeah.
And like getting to know them, and especially if someone's already in the industry that you want to be in.
Yeah.
Actually being able to have that open conversation where they can give you like the overview of what it's really like, and not just the good stuff but also the bad stuff, or the things that you want to look out for, or
because then you might go into it thinking it's one thing, but then when you find out it's actually something different, you might not have the same picture. And I think that's important to try and figure out before you make a leap. It's like to figure out if you, because I used to think that I would never be cut out to be a business owner, never in a million years. But I've had quite a lot of feedback from people saying that, oh, you've actually embraced it quite well.
Yeah.
So I'd also say to maybe like keep an open mind and think outside the box.
Yeah.
Because you might go into something that you maybe like never expected.
Yeah, that's really true. And with that, I would say, do you have any other advice for, because we've covered some already, but do you have any other advice for someone who's looking or just thinking about taking that leap? Like, they might have done loads of research, they might feel like this is the right thing for me to do, whether that be start a business or change jobs or quit their job and go travelling or whatever, but they're just scared to take that leap. Like, what confidence tips do you have for someone who's just a bit nervous to like take that first step towards doing something?
I think that's actually a really good way of putting it, because I know when you say like taking a leap, it sounds huge.
Yeah.
But if you say, okay, so I'm going to take the first step and then I'm going to take the next step and the next step, then that makes it a lot more manageable. But the one thing I would say is, do not wait for the perfect time to do something. Because it'll happen like that. Like mine did. I was waiting and waiting, like, when is it going to happen? Do I have my notice in? And then it got to a point where I had no choice but to... So it might get to a point where you plan for it and then be like, right, okay, I'm just going to do it now. Or it might get to a point where you have no other option but to do it now, or else you're never going to know. And if it doesn't work out, like, the worst thing is that it doesn't work out, but it's not the worst thing because you can always fix it. I think that's what a lot of people are scared of, like, if I go into a business owner or if I change jobs and it doesn't work, what do I do? Well, you just find another
you
one.
just find another job.
Yeah.
Or you find a job again if you started a business and it's not for you. Because it isn't for everyone.
No, it's definitely not.
I think it's, if you're going to take a leap or the next like baby steps towards doing something, it's like accepting that if you fail then it's okay. Like, it's not the end of the world, and it's you still tried.
Exactly.
I know it's that, obviously, if you're determined and it's right for you at that time of your life, then you will make it happen. But it's knowing that, but also knowing at the same time, like, I'm not gonna die if it goes wrong.
Yeah, the world's not gonna end.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I think as long as you're never gonna be like, hopefully, like, not everyone's situation is great, but like, I knew that I would never be homeless, because even if I was earning nothing, like, I would always have my mum and dad's couch, or you'd always have like a friend or a relative or someone you could go to.
Yeah.
And I think if you do have some sort of safety net in that sense, that helps too. But even that's the worst case scenario, like having no money left. And someone will always, like, hopefully someone in your life will always be there to support you anyway. So it's accepting that worst case scenario and thinking, I'll still survive even if that happens. Yeah,
because when I'm a massive worrier and overthinker.
Yeah.
So when I'm worrying about something, my mum will say, what's the worst thing that could happen? And then I will say, and she's like, right, so what happens if the worst case happens?
Yeah.
And it really changes your mindset about it and makes you think, and then think as well about if you've dealt with difficult things in your life before, then you can deal with something again if it happens. It's all like learning curves, isn't it?
Yeah, because they do say, like, some of the most successful business owners in the world, or some of the richest, like, investors in the world have been bankrupt, like, sometimes several times.
Yeah. I don't really want that to happen.
But but that is, for many people, the worst case scenario in a business is having to file for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
But people have done that and then gone on to do bigger and better things
anyway. And
probably been better off for that happening to them anyway, because there's a lot of learning and, like, taking a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Like, getting
definitely
good, like, getting good at just thinking on your feet if that happens to you. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great advice. Cool. So I think I want to transition now to a different topic. You obviously work in social media. It's like your thing, it's what you do, it's what you talk about, whether that be creating content online or the best ways to grow your Instagram, and you help, like, you do that yourself in your own business, but you also help your clients do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess I want to talk about social media in the sense of, how do you manage it day to day? Because obviously there's a lot, like, it's your work, and I feel like this as well. I feel like productive when I'm on social media because it's work.
Yeah.
But then it's so easy to get distracted. And even people listening who work in a 9 to 5 will probably find you go on your phone and then, like, half an hour's gone by and you've not done anything. So how do you manage that? Because it's obviously a huge part of your day and a huge part of your workflow. But how do you stop, like, procrastination setting in, or, you know, the time running away from you?
It is so difficult. And I'm quite lucky that I can focus very easily.
Yeah.
And I think that does come from really enjoying what you do.
Yeah.
So I'm quite particular, and I'll plan my day, like, down to the minute. Every single minute is, like, accounted for. And so I'll usually coincide social media with any promo that I've got to do. So, for instance, like, I'll always post to Instagram in the morning, and so I will try and engage on the platform, like, before and after I publish a post. But then it gets really difficult, because if I'm, like, waiting for something to upload, or I'm stuck with something I think, I need a break, I will have the tendency to just grab my phone and scroll.
Yeah.
But I try and put a limit on it. So if I'm doing a task for a client and I maybe finish it 5 minutes earlier, then I'll feel like, oh right, okay, I'll have a scroll for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But sometimes I get to the point where I'm actually just like too busy to look at it.
Yeah.
And that can be a good thing and a bad thing, because I think the thing with social media, it's like catch-22. You need to be on it consistently if you want to grow your influence, but it can also be really impactful, because I was only just thinking this the other day, like I work alone at home for hours a day and I might not even speak to a single person, yet at the end of the day my head always feels so full, because you're just seeing so many other people's opinions and everything all day. That
or watching like vlogs or
so when it comes to the end of the day, like I will totally need to like take a step back from it, because there's just like too much swirling around in my head, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same. I think for people in a 9 to 5, it's probably the flip side of that. Like social media is an escape for them. When Adam comes home, he's like catching up on Twitter, because he follows all these like football related things, and he's like reading all these different opinions on such a match that was on yesterday, and I'm sat there like, talk to me.
So he comes home and I'm like, I did this today and I did this and I'm yap, and they're all just like, I need to be quiet, and I'm like, I need to speak.
I'm like, I need to put my phone away and not stare at a screen. And he's like, I just need to not, because I've not spoken to anyone all day. He's like, I need to just not talk to anyone for a bit and like scroll through my phone. I wonder if like many other people go through that, if they work for themselves and the partner doesn't, or vice versa.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, but it's such a hard balance, because I can fall into the comparison trap quite easily as well.
Yeah, me too.
Especially when there's just so much of it, isn't there? There's so many people and so much noise, and I can scroll through and sometimes and be like, oh, why am I not on a plane to somewhere, or why does my front room not look like this, or whatever. But you've just got to sort of, it's really hard, because it's all to do with your mindset, and I think that's the most difficult thing, because a lot of people find it difficult to control their mindset. But it's like getting into the perspective of, okay, you've got to be happy with what you have, or else you'll never be satisfied, and then I wouldn't want to live my life like that, and probably other people wouldn't either. Yeah,
that's so true. I think comparison, like everyone struggles with comparison, and it's probably one of the number one things that comes up if I ask people, what are you struggling with, or like, what do you want me to chat about on the podcast? Like, it always comes back to comparison. And I think especially with women on social media following other women, especially these super glamorous celebs or like bloggers with millions of followers that are getting flown to the Maldives on an all expenses paid trip, it can feel like, oh, like, is my life shit in comparison to theirs? Or I know it's hard bringing it back to that mindset of that's their life and it's theirs and good for them, but that's not me, and my life doesn't look like that, and that's okay.
And also with that, I think a lot of people compare, like the cheesy line of saying, compare their beginning to someone else's middle.
Totally. Like I said before with your business success, like some people will watch you online and think, oh, I wish like I had a successful business like hers, and they've not seen the growth.
Exactly. And I've only been doing it for like 7 months, so it's like, well, to think about the people that have been doing it for 2 years. But I work with some coaching clients whose blog's probably not even a year old, and they're comparing themselves to these bloggers who, and like Carly, who came on your podcast earlier, and it's like, you cannot, you just can't. It's just, you're never going to get anywhere if they've been working on their brands for years and years and years. And like, I did a talk at a university recently, and they said like, oh, I'd love to have a blog like you, and I was like, oh, you can totally do it, like, and they said, oh, well, I started one, but I wasn't getting anywhere with it, so I gave up after 3 months. I was like, well, what do you expect? It's so hard now. It's still possible, but you've got to be prepared to put in the work and have your mindset in the right place so you don't fall into the comparison trap, or if you do fall into it, you know how to deal with it so you can climb back out and then get back to normal. Yeah,
that's really well put, and I feel like that applies to any personal development journey, whether that be growing a business or progressing in your career. Like, I imagine you see people who get a promotion and you think, why hasn't that happened to me? Or your friends getting married and having kids and you're like, oh, why haven't I found the right person yet? And or you're trying to lose weight or get fit and you're looking at people with these like incredible bodies who we were talking about this before because we were talking about fitness, just having a casual chat, and we were like, we're never going to look like Victoria's Secret models because that is their full-time job to look like that. And that is not my full-time job, and I don't have that much energy to put into that to maintain that physique, so why would I be stressed about it? But still, like, some people with their full-time job and their 2 kids and, you know, their social life to maintain and their personal sanity to maintain, they'll be like, why haven't I got the time to look like that?
Like, well, you've got to look at, it's looking at where you are in your life at the moment, because you're not going to be in this stage of your life forever. And that's the thing, isn't it? And, you know, the thing that I have to think about, one of the things I had to think about when I started my business was that, because I talked to some people and they said, I could jump into running my business because I lived with my mum and dad, and that is completely fine. Like, that is really good.
And that was me. And is me, really.
And if I still lived at home with my mum and dad, I would 100% have done it. But I think then your situation changes, because when you have a house and it's like, you've got to make sure that the money's coming in so the bills are paid. And it's sort of thinking, okay, what can you manage in your life, and just like looking at your time and resources and what you need to sort of do to manage it all.
And not feel like impatient or guilty because you're not there yet, because it needs to take a bit longer for you because you have other priorities. That's so true. So in terms of taking time off from social media then, because we've obviously we've discussed like some of the negative aspects of it, what helps you take like a period of time offline? Because I find it almost compulsive to like grab my phone and scroll. So I know you talked about on a recent podcast that you spend certain amounts of time at the weekends like unplugged, or if someone wants to do that in the evening or on a Sunday afternoon or wherever it might be, like what do you actually do to make sure you're not on your phone?
Well, the one thing that I do, which is really helpful for people who find it difficult, is just not have phones at the table when we sit and have dinner at night. That's one. Really nice. Because sometimes if I'm really busy, like I'm at the moment, that is the only bit of time that I will get to talk and not think about work. So we put our phones away, and we'll usually make dinner together as well.
We are doing that.
And then we just, you know, no phones, we sit and we talk, and that is the one thing that's good. And then I've actually got to the point where I start putting it in my calendar. So, like, that's what I mean, like, every minute is... So if it's like, right, 9 o'clock, I'm going to stop working, and it's like, right, me time. I'll be like, right, I'm going to if I'm watching TV, I'll put my phone over there so I can't touch it. Like, I even know some people, like, tuck their phone into bed in another room. So they don't, which I don't think I would do.